Hello, I'm Brigantia Blackbird of Blackbird's Brew. Happy Thursday. Let's talk a little bit more about witch life, in particular the heart, and not letting our past wounds hold us back from good possibilities, including new possibilities for good relationships. Now, this is a sensitive topic, so we're going to delve in it as carefully as we can, but I think it's also good to be able to have some plain speaking on the topic. So, bearing that in mind, let's move forward. I don't think there's really a soul on earth that hasn't experienced heartbreak of one form or another, but how we react to that heartbreak, it's going to determine, essentially, our quality of life moving forward. Now, holding on to pain, it doesn't actually make us more virtuous than other people who allow themselves to heal. And it doesn't indicate the greater depth of feeling of, oh, I'm still heartbroken 20 years later because I just cared about this person so much more than the person who you lost, who you recovered from. And it seems counterintuitive, but there are schools of thought that embrace this kind of emotional pain just with both hands, whether it was from a breakup or from being widowed. And this idea of perpetual mourning as a testament to how much you loved someone, it's a very old-fashioned, very Victorian kind of idea. And of all the things Victorian, I'm not sure how this is something that came back into fashion, because I don't think it's true. I think when we don't allow ourselves to heal, we are simply avoiding. Because for whatever reason, sometimes we think and we conclude that it's less painful to live with the wound than it is to face the task of healing. Because, of course, as we are all aware, sometimes it can be just as painful to go through the healing process as it was when we first experienced the hurt. But avoiding that healing process for forever, it just isn't healthy. And coming to terms with loss, especially when it comes to romantic attachments that have reached their end for one reason or another, this is part of life. We've all shed our tears. Many of us have fallen in love with the wrong people, or we've made mistakes, or had to move on, or got left behind. It's the human condition. It isn't a sign that we'll never be loved again, or that we were unworthy of love, or that somehow love isn't in the card for us. So we need to allow ourselves, when it comes to an end, to heal, move on, and be open to further possibilities in the future. Now, related to this is avoiding marriage and long-term partnership. I think this is a manifestation of fear. Some people will do this because it's a kind of a tribute to the supposed enlightenment of modernity, and aren't they so modern? Aren't they so special? Aren't they so sophisticated, mature, and blah, blah, blah? I'm very disturbed by this trend and by the anti-marriage sentiment running rampant in some sections of society. Every civilization is based on marriage and the families that result from it, including pagan civilizations of times past. So rejecting the institution or saying, oh, it's just something that Christians do or whatever else, you're ignoring the rest of the historical record, and you're also ignoring the function that marriage and family has had in solidifying cultures and allowing people to come together in any sense of the term. Now, this isn't to say that we should choose potential marriage mates quite carefully. If anything, I think it's sensible to be more choosy about who we date and to think more so at the beginning whether or not this person would be a good spouse and a good parent down the road, looking at their character traits. And it's scary out there because of how insane our society is, and that has affected the dating scene and how people approach the idea of marriage and family, how they treat potential partners, how they behave after the wedding, and everything else. So I'm not saying that there isn't reason for caution, but there is always going to be risk, even if we were in a more idealistic place in society. There would still be risk. But at the same time, just because something is risky doesn't mean that we shouldn't do it or that it isn't worthwhile. And it is so much easier to travel down the road of life with a partner, especially if you have complementary strengths and weaknesses and you can really support each other. You're providing mutual benefit. You're giving each other a sense of stability. That is worth a great deal. So rallying after we experience heartbreak, this is what makes us stronger. And that's also what helps us to become more likely that we will choose more wisely in the future. Everything is a learning experience if we allow it to be, and dissecting why we weren't compatible with someone and what led to the breakup, that can help us not repeat the same error. And if it were in the situation that we lost a loved one to death, obviously it's going to take some time to heal from that loss. But it's also going to take some time to come to terms with the fact that it's okay to make room in our hearts for a new love. It doesn't mean that you stopped loving the person you used to be with, or that you have forgotten them. It just means that you're acknowledging that they're not here. They're not here. And it's okay to make room in your heart for someone who is here, or at least allow for the possibility that someone could touch your heart again. So it's also necessary to figure out who we are, because after we've had a life with someone, and during the course of that, we adapted and evolved, and we're no longer the same person that we were when we were originally teamed up with that person. And so we have to get to know ourselves again. And this holds true whether went through a breakup, a divorce, or death. And if for whatever reason that we find ourselves single, we need to look in the mirror and be honest about our emotional needs in the here and now, and what sort of people we tend to get along with. What sort of people are we attracted to now? We may discover that the next person that we're seriously interested in is quite different from who we were previously with. That's not necessarily a bad thing, and it isn't necessarily an indication that you're going off the rails, or that you're getting involved with someone who this isn't going to have a good outcome. It just means that we are not who we were, and we have acknowledged that, and we may be in a position where our strengths and weaknesses have changed, and so the person we're attracted to, they might have they might be more of a balancing factor than someone who would be, say, very similar to who we were with before. And this is especially important if you've lost someone who you loved in death. If you find that your next partner is quite different from your previous one, that doesn't mean that you're passing judgment on the person who died. It just means that you're no longer in that same place, because in addition to the adaptations you made while your former partner was alive, there's also the adaptations you've made since their death. You are not the same. So it doesn't make sense that you would just essentially look for as close a copy as you could get. That's not what you need, and it wouldn't be a healthy thing to do. Also, I think it's important to acknowledge that it's okay to be nervous about this whole process, because it isn't easy to say, oh, well, I really got hurt, and now I'm about to venture forth, and I might get hurt again. That is scary, and some nervousness is normal. But we should allow ourselves the freedom to heal. We should allow ourselves to be open to the possibility of new love, and that things can have a better outcome than what they did before. We just need to be honest with ourselves and know who we were, and acknowledge about why the things that didn't work out. But mostly it is about self-honesty, and that can be a difficult thing to do, but that's why we have to periodically check in and look inside the heart and see what's actually going on there. So, more to come on this general topic in the coming weeks of February. Hope you enjoyed this one. If you'd like to continue the discussion, I hope you'll visit us at Blackbird's Brew on Discord. There is a link to join in the description box below. In the meantime, please subscribe to this channel, like the video, leave a comment. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.